Well, thank you and good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Kelly. I'm a principal with KCBA Architects, and we're excited for tonight. You're going to see a lot of great designs tonight. You're going to be speaking with a lot of great teams. We think we're a pretty good team. We think our design tonight is going to hopefully wow you a lot, and we're excited to present this to all of you tonight. As we started this process many months ago, met with a lot of people from your district as well, and one of the questions that kept coming back up was what is possible. If we're building a new high school, something this large, something this unbelievable and transformational in your community, what is possible when it comes to building a new school in Pennsbury? What does it mean to enter a space? What does it mean to be walking into a brand new building that will be the cornerstone of education for your students, for your teachers, and for this community? We understand, we've worked here in the past, we understand how tight-knit this multi-generational community is, and this building is going to be a cornerstone to your community. So we understand the importance of those things. Tonight, my team and I, we're going to share a lot of different comments, a lot of different areas and aspects of this building. All of us make up sustainability experts, interior designers, architects, engineers, code specialists, so we represent just a small portion of a much, much larger group. By far, the brains of this operation is Thaddeus, who is a Pennsbury grad. So any of the tough questions that anybody, there you go. Any of the tough questions anybody may have, we'll certainly go to him, and he's going to talk in a moment about some spaces that he feels are pretty important in the building. Quickly about us, we are a K-12 firm and do a lot of work in Pennsylvania and the surrounding area. Between Pennsbury and our office, which is in Hatfield, we have a lot of projects, a lot of different places where you can go and visit. We have a lot of great clients and community partners that we've worked with over and over again. But certainly, currently, our favorite, of course, project that we're working on is the Bay Middle School renovation. Very exciting project that we teamed with the district over 3 years ago now, and we're excited for this project to be wrapping up next summer. When we sat down with our team and said, all right, we have all these great notes, and we had all these great interviews and conversations with members of your team and your community, we said, all right, here's all these things that popped into our head. So we kind of created this board, and we just had all kinds of different thoughts and ideas and challenges, and always kind of coming back to, well, that would be great, but what is possible? How does that work? How would that be created? So we kind of tried to drum all of this down into 5 real core areas of our design. The very first part of that is talking about a large building with a personal experience. We're talking about a big building. 500,000 square feet, 2,800 plus kids in this building. So how do we create something that is big enough to support all of those things, but small enough and personal enough to not overwhelm its visitors? So quick little study of the site. You can see where we are here in the east building and the west building on the side. The construction zone, as you can imagine, is going to be pretty large, and a building at about that size sits along Hood Boulevard, and at about that direction, kind of to the northern part of the site. When we start to look at how the site then is kind of placed together and all of the things that would be part of this project, the first and foremost, one building, one new high school, not 2 buildings or 3 buildings that then were merged into 2, one new building, right? So that kind of makes a lot of sense, easy to kind of think about. A separate bus loop and parking lot loop right by the front door. So all of that parking, every student is coming through one singular secured front door. It's not spread out all over the place. There's not 10 spots there and 3 spots there. Majority of that parking happens in the beginning, or right in the heart and front entry of the building. An athletic entrance and parking lot separate from that area of the building, so that any of the after-school activities, all of your sports nights, and let's say maybe a prom, things like that are happening, that all can happen at its own special entrance. What we're doing here is improving the campus organization and its safety. With buildings spread out across campus, with different kinds of parking in different areas, there's a lot of ways in this current site that we feel we can organize things, make the site itself certainly a lot safer. So we've organized this large building into 3 sections. Those 3 sections are, on the left, you've got administration and performing arts. You kind of have a core academic area in the middle where most of our classrooms and labs and things are. And then on the right, we have athletics and special events. So we've tried to organize the main larger components of what you would see in a typical high school within these three components, and then link them with what we're calling the Pennsbury path. We're going to talk a lot about the Pennsbury path. Everybody kind of celebrates that now as that, half-mile-ish walk from one building to the other, and that's kind of nice, but, this one will be inside, not in the cold or in the rain and things like that. So organizing these three elements along that path and trying to celebrate a little bit of the history, the things we like about the site now, but doing so in a much more efficient and certainly safer way. So if you look at this area in the middle of blue, that's that area of academic space. One thing that's very important as well, if 60% of a kid's day is going to be in classes and in labs and things like that, we wanted all of that to kind of be in the center. And then allowing for the other 20% of the day that you may be in the arts wing, you don't have to go that far, or 20% the other way to the athletic area. You don't have to go that far. The academic core of that building, 3 stories stacked on top of one another, very efficient, and very centrally located in the sense that we're able to allow kids to quickly move from one side of the building to the other. So what does that look like visually as well? Again, a huge building. Well, from the outside, here's athletics. Kind of looks like athletics, a gym and a pool and the cafeteria. Then we get to that center component here. If we're driving down Hood Boulevard, that's the academic core. And then as we get to the left, performing arts spaces and things like that. So from the road, as people are driving by, it's not some big, huge tower. It's not some glassy, orangey box that looks like something out of Las Vegas. It's very much part of the context of the community, using traditional materials, but looks academic, and certainly something of pride for the district. So if we dive into those 3 pieces, and again, all of these buildings tonight are going to be pretty big, so we're going to dive into the first piece that I mentioned about administrative and performing arts, and what's included in those spaces. Again, I'm going to say this over and over again, a singular front door, not 75 doors into different areas where kids can kind of go in and somebody can go in there. One very clear and identifiable front door. I happen to be on the Governor's School Safety Committee. I have an expertise in school safety. The first thing they tell you is have an identifiable front door, a singular place where security happens for visitors and students. So having that space is very, very important, right next to the administration area. But then we have a learning commons. So every place in this building we're going to show has a lot of activity, a lot of areas and opportunities for learning. There's not just a lobby. You saw tonight, sitting out in front as we came in, the flags and the rifles and some of the band front were outside practicing. Perfect. That kind of space is what we want to see in those types of learning spaces. Auditorium, music suite, media center. Again, a space that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. We don't call libraries anymore. We call them media centers. So there's a lot of ideas of what that could be. And then a lot of outdoor spaces near that as well. So you're going to see tonight a lot of spaces connecting the inside with the outside. Again, kind of talking about that Pennsbury path. It's nice to be outside, but you don't have to be outside. You don't have to cross a half mile to get from English class to social studies. So if we walk through that front door, how does that feel when we first come in? We want to be wowed. We want kids to be inspired, but it doesn't want to be overwhelming either. It wants to be an appropriate space where we can show off some Pennsbury pride, and we can have an area that's secure and have areas for academics throughout. All of these spaces are going to be very, very energized, and very full of educational opportunities. Such as we walk through that first space, you're going to see areas about making Pennsbury green. Christine and Scott are going to talk about some sustainability initiatives coming up. We want to show off the history and some Wall of Fame honors and things like that within Pennsbury as well. So we want to be able to show off community pride at the front door. So that middle section, the academic section, as I mentioned, a 3-story core of classroom spaces. So this is where all of your math and science and things like that are kind of stacked on top of one another. We have an art suite in the middle that then has some outdoor space with a courtyard space directly adjacent to that. So they can go outside for drawing and art and painting. We have stacked science labs, 3 on all 3 floors. So that way, all of that plumbing, all of that exhaust, all of the things that cost a lot of money in a science lab can be very efficiently stacked. And that science area has a courtyard, in this case enclosed by the building on all 4 sides directly adjacent to it. And we're going to show that off in a minute as well. So variety of outdoor spaces and teacher planning areas as well. We're building the school for the kids, but the teachers are the ones that are going to be here for 20, 30, 40 years. So we want to make sure that their spaces are adequate and inspirational as well. So if we go back to that lobby and hang a left, we're going to head down the Pennsbury path there, and what you're going to see consistently are areas of natural light, areas of looking towards green spaces, both the courtyard spaces and closed courtyard spaces or areas of light coming in from above. Areas where kids can pull over and have conversations with teachers, have conversations with other students. A lot of opportunities for curriculum and collaboration throughout that hallway. Sometimes we want to be in a bright space, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we want to just kind of tuck away in a booth. So we're going to make sure that we have those areas provided as well throughout the building. So we're being very sensitive to anyone that may have sensitivity issues to light or things like that. We want to make sure that the building is very, very inclusive to all of our students and teachers. And lastly, the athletic portion. So this is a portion that was kind of all the way on the right-hand side of that original plan. 3,000 seat stadium, gymnasium, huge, large space. Another gym that's right next to it for an Ox gym. So again, you kind of have 3 gyms now. All of them are sort of at different sizes, but they're all sort of disconnected. So let's create one singular athletic complex. A wrestling room, a weight room, a pool, an 8-lane pool, by the way, a little bit bigger than what you have now. And then a cafeteria space, because that cafeteria space, as we're going to show, has a lot of opportunities to be more than just a cafeteria. So all of these spaces kind of connected. I said before about that outdoor separate entrance into that area off of what we're calling a Falcon Terrace. Again, an outdoor space on beautiful days like today where kids can go outside to eat, certainly congregate, and we think there's a great setting there for a few other attributes as well. So kind of coming in from that Falcon Terrace, coming now through instead of the front door of the school, this is kind of the front door of the athletic center. Coming down the hallway, you see the pool on one side, the cafeteria, lots of trophy cases for all your awards and championships, and then kind of ending in this lobby space before heading into the gymnasium. So these types of spaces we think are tremendous. Just the way that the gym and the cafeteria can be opened up to each other. So on halftime, everybody's not just jammed into a hallway. You could certainly open up that cafeteria, have refreshments and things like that in that space. That cafeteria is a large gathering space, so let's utilize that throughout any type of public activity or any of the athletic events that you may be having. So I talked again about the Pennsbury path, the way to kind of link all of this large building together. Along that path, as I mentioned, is going to be a lot of different types of educational spaces as well, and teacher spaces. We want teacher and student interaction. We want student and student interaction. So throughout the day, whether you're passing class or even the ability now for this to be more of a block scheduling ability for the school to allow for block scheduling. Now students have a place for eating and things like that, socializing before school, after school, and during their lunch resource hour. These types of spaces, again, on any floor, any of the 3 floors, always have links to natural light. You can see areas, again, here where kids can kind of pull over, and green spaces as well. We love green walls. They're actually pretty fun. We just installed one at a science center at Bucks County Community College, and actually part of their senior class uses that as part of an assignment. They go and care for that wall. It's surprisingly low maintenance, but something, again, where we're trying to create some natural areas within the school. So let's look at this as a dynamic platform for education. We know education is changing, and we know it's certainly changed from the 50s and 60s when these buildings were built. We want to make sure that our building is ready for whatever changes may come. So if we start in that media center, 70 years ago, this would have been the library chock-a-block full of books. Well, now it's not. It's got some, but it's really an area for kids to collaborate with students and other teachers. Take that book, take that laptop, and sit and utilize the information that you can get from the internet and work as a team to collaborate together. These types of outdoor spaces connected to those areas are just tremendous. Again, on a beautiful day like today, I would love to go outside and sit in a space like that, connected to that media center. Another space inside the building, just directly across from the auditorium, places like this, like what we call a learning stair. One, it's a stair that gets me from the first floor to the second floor, but it's also a place for students, again, to pause, charge a laptop, have a coffee in the morning, meet with their fellow students, and making sure that all of these places are accessible to all of our students and faculty as well. So if there is a raised platform or anything that has any type of physical handicap or ability or something like that, we want to make sure that the building is inclusive and allows for everyone to participate. Spaces like this, a makerspace. This is on the second floor, and as we kind of come up through here, you can kind of look down to the lobby below, but look up to a third floor space. All of these spaces are connected. I come outside from that, I cross the third floor version of the Pennsbury path, and I'm outside into a large greenscape garden. An area for botany, an area for earth science, an area where we could be growing vegetables in the summer and the fall. So again, another outdoor space secured, away from traffic, and an area for kids to have additional outdoor learning opportunities. This enclosed courtyard, one of the favorite spaces of students at Avon Grove High School or Lower Moreland High School, which we just opened a couple of weeks ago. These spaces are tremendous for students to be able to come outside. We visited where they're eating there, there are hacky sack sessions going on in the corner, and then other kids are reading in another area, bringing their STEM projects outside to work on, flying drones up through these spaces. So these types of areas, again, we want kids to be able to be connected to the outside. We want to be able to provide those types of spaces and secure them. So here's a view here, kind of going from that inside courtyard space. We're going to go across the Pennsbury path on the first floor and wind up outside in that larger courtyard space across from the art room. So whether you're at one side of the building or the other, you have access to all of those things. A lot of variety of different courtyard spaces, some a little bit more enclosed than others. But again, we want to be able to make sure we're connecting students visually to nature. So again, more images, as I mentioned before, more images time and time again of natural light coming into these vibrant, more modern educational spaces. And as I mentioned too, sometimes again, we might not want those big giant spaces. So there's going to be other areas that can be tucked away for students that want a little bit more of a quieter space along that Pennsbury path as well. So I'm going to turn things over to Christine and Scott. We're very lucky to have them on our team. They're from Revision. They're a nationally renowned sustainability company, fortunately housed right here in the Philadelphia area. We've worked with them for many, many years. And the unique part of having them on our team is regardless of whatever certification the school district may be looking for this project, or maybe not, they're going to be a core part of our team and a huge part of our design initiative to make sure that we're working with you guys, teaming with you guys on your Making Pennsbury Green pledge. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. So Revision's mission is to remove the barriers to building green and sustainable for those that are planning, designing, constructing, and operating buildings. It is not just about energy and water. It's about the students and the people that are occupying the building, their health and well-being. And of course, it's our responsibility to help the team with strategies that are cost-effective and appropriate to the project. So, it's not just guesswork how we come up with this. We use tools to help us make informed decisions. And in this here example, we help the team choose the right amount of insulation that hit the sweet spot between cost effectiveness and optimization.
So we get very technical, but possibilities really start with the vision. And this is one thing that we read through. We read through the Making Pennsbury Green plan, and we saw a bunch of things in here we liked. First, education for sustainability, your EFS curriculum. Why? Because it's holistic. It's not just focusing on one thing, it's very broad. Second thing we liked is incorporating energy and water conservation into the building, not just in a way that you can't see it, but we want to do it in a way that you can see it, where you can use it as an educational tool. Wellness and healthy living, why? The students deserve it. So do the people who work in the building. It's an integral part, and these are things that excite us, and we look forward to integrating into your project. Incorporating green and healthy spaces outside, which we heard a lot from in the very beginning, about how the students enjoy the pathway between the buildings and having that experience. We need to do that inside. So our goal here is to basically make use this concept, next slide. Oop, back one. Can you go back one more? I may have gotten ahead of myself, thanks. So using this concept of Pennsbury path through the building, not just outside, but integrating sustainability features along this pathway in different nodes. Each node can have a different theme, each node can have a different teachable moment, but it's integrating sustainability transparently as you move through the space. So for example, you may have, can you go back one? You guys are getting in front of me, it's okay. So you may have a strategy where you use solar panels, photovoltaics as we call them, but not on the roof where you can't see them. We want to put them down where the kids can see them, where people can see them. So what do? You put that over large glass areas where you're using it for an additional benefit to shade the glass, which is making it even more cost effective. Perhaps it's doing other things like using some of those interior elements to mimic natural systems. We grew up with nature, we evolved with nature, we are much healthier and learn much better when we have those natural elements built into our day and built into our buildings.
All right. So as Mike explained a lot of these before, we're going to incorporate a lot of biophilic elements into the building, and we can't experience one without the other. So if you don't have daylight, you're not going to appreciate the darker spaces and vice versa. And then I'm going to go on and Scott will talk about the Pennsbury. The next phrase.
Sure. I mean, I can take this with you guys as well. So one of the things that we've done very well with them is try to integrate learning opportunities and tools into the building as well. This is an image of a project that they worked on recently at Muhlenberg College where we're showing off what those photovoltaics are doing. We're showing off what the water intake into the building is. Areas in the building where we can show things off as well. Sometimes you have kind of a little learning space, and right next to that we're showing off the water that's being captured by rain leaders and being reused throughout the building. This I always thought was cool, and I like the sound of that as well. When it's raining, these types of rain leaders come down through those science spaces so they can learn about rainwater, they can learn about how all those things are captured. So kids are utilizing the building as learning tools. This is another opportunity as well, certainly with all of our EV cars now, to be able to come plug things in. You know, maybe there's going to be a lot more than just 5 or 6 here in the future. Show off that the goals and the initiatives of Pennsbury, and be able to share that with your students as well. So if you guys want to.
The key thing, very quickly to end on this, it's to find the elements that have stacked benefits for you. That don't just solve one environmental problem, but help with social issues as well. We look at environmental solutions, social issues, and being fiscally responsible. The strategies we want to implement in the school stack to give benefits to all three.
So thanks. So we're really excited to have them on as part of our team because that is very important to us and to our design. So the fourth piece that we're going to talk about is kind of state-of-the-art opportunity or operations. This is going to be a big building. You're going to need state-of-the-art people that can do this. As we stated, you know, the large construction zone, maintaining a safe environment during construction is going to be very important. So this is kind of the nuts and bolts part of the presentation. We just did this recently at Lower Moreland, built a high school right next to the existing high school. We're going to talk about how the building can be built with the existing pool in place. So that's the existing pool. Here comes the new pool, and when it's done, the old pool goes away. So the building is going to make sure that all of those types of athletics can occur on the site during construction. I mentioned before about controlled entry points. We have so many throughout the building. You have one in this school during school hours. This is where kids are coming. This is where visitors are coming. When the building breaks down into an athletic time, yes, then we have an athletic center, but those areas are very well known and, again, identifiable. As we look at kind of supervision as well, we always kind of joke in that red area at the front, that's the principal's office. Well, no one ever gets in trouble right in front of the principal's office, so we want to make sure that we kind of scatter the adults through the building as well. So we have a lot of teacher spaces, a lot of assistant principal spaces kind of gathered throughout the building as well. One of the things that was a question was, how could this building expand in the future? Well, we could show that here. Right off one of those courtyards, we kind of build a 1 or a 2 or even a 3-story addition right across the front there for additional space if needed. So one of the things we really like about this scheme as well, and understanding the community, I know I'm in a room full of taxpayers tonight as well, is keeping the size of this building down. Getting all of those inspirational spaces, but keeping the container as small as it can. The way we save money on this project is building a smaller building. We can build it bigger, that costs a bit more, so let's make sure that we're doing all of these things within the smallest container as possible. And with our collaborative efforts, that's how we've been able to achieve these things time and time again in a lot of other districts. Parkland School District, we worked with their administrators, superintendents, got everybody in a room, said, what are the goals of the project? Had teachers design their own spaces at Lower Moreland, said, what do you think you want? Here, again, somebody's mentioning natural light. We worked with kids, brought in furniture and models and stuff like that that they were able to work with. And community output at things like Southern Lehigh, where we had 3 different nights for 3 different topics. One night where we just talked education, one night we talked about athletics, and one night we talked about art. Getting that community involvement and those types of things is very important as well. Something that was fun with Lower Moreland and a little embarrassing for me, there was a student that actually did an entire video documentary about the project over the 2 years of construction, came in, saw our office. I think she got an A. I hope she did. But that was really important as well, and it was a great opportunity to kind of link to the kids. So the 5th platform, and this is kind of the exciting one, is the Center for Community. Again, understanding the community pride that this group has, we wanted to make sure that we had a building that shared that pride, that showed it off, and then was a great stage for all of your tremendous events. So as I mentioned, when you first walk into the lobby, we have a wall of fame on one side, history areas on another, certainly opportunities for that throughout the building as well. From the 2nd floor, you can kind of see down into that area, so we're crossing and seeing that throughout. Areas maybe at the top of the learning stairs where we can have art display. I love the idea of student art in public places. Maybe that's a mural, a mural that we took a photo of that could be placed there, and certainly some other areas throughout the building. Certainly you guys do a tremendous job now in your wall of honor, honoring servicemen and women that have fought and died for this country, that are part of you. Let's have that in a space where we could have ceremonies out in front of us. This, in this case, is right out in front of the auditorium, right by the auditorium terrace. Special events, we want to make sure that we have enough parking for all these things. When the building is shut down and it's all about site and fields and things outside, we want to make sure we have enough parking. We want to make sure, again, that we can shut down the academic part of the building when we have a performing arts area where you could have a huge planning center, a huge play, as well as a big basketball game going on at the athletic center at the same time. So we can shut down that academic side. We have the auditorium and music suite sitting right behind that, and we're able to kind of isolate that part of the building from the rest. This is one of my favorite videos coming from that auditorium terrace, kind of coming around into that space. The wall of honor there is right on the left, and we're coming into the auditorium space for hopefully a much more joyous and fun occasion than talking to a bunch of architects about building designs. But these types of spaces, I think, are tremendous. Being able to have a space like this that could be multiple different things, including maybe a choir performance or something right out in front of the auditorium. Again, these types of spaces are very flexible and the ability to kind of adapt over time. This is a plan view of the athletic area, and that our ability there as well to kind of shut down the rest of the building, have all of these athletic events, lockers, and support spaces all kind of in line and in tune with that. So coming in from that side, collecting along here, we're kind of coming through that Falcon Terrace and coming into the main part of the building. So 2 big nights that we know are important in Pennsbury. One being the school night or sports night, and certainly the other being prom. So here, with music from your Pennsbury marching band, you can imagine the football team coming out, walking down, or the band marching out from the building and walking down over to your stadium. Being able to be part of this area on sports night throughout. You don't have just one little space. You've got multiple gyms, the pool, the outside space, the cafeteria, the stadium. Coming from the stadium kind of back towards the building. Passing here, you'll see the wrestling area, the pool, the gym. Areas like that are well connected between that whole athletic side of the building and the complex. Here you can see sports night, and again, There's nothing like planning for prom night. So all the videos and all the research that we've seen for prom night, seeing that parade. So we've kind of purposely thought, well, let's make this parade a little bit longer. Let's have a kind of a snake view as we come through the parking lot area, as we come out and enter into the gym area and have a space that is appropriate for prom night. Be able to have, you know, the Falcon Terrace, more than just the gym here at East, but a much larger space to house all of those things. So this place can be rocking, you know, from the gym to the cafeteria, all of those types of spaces. If I'm coming in on prom night, let's not just isolate that just in one space. Let's allow that entire area of the building to be part of that party and be part of that thing that we, you know, I didn't go here, but I've known about how this was always named the best prom ever. So let's set that setting for those areas. You know, have a large gym space for this space. We know you had John Mayer a bunch of years ago. Maybe you get Usher this year. He just had a big thing, but he's got some free time. And my daughter tells me that SZA is the newest, greatest person, so maybe you can get her for the next gym. Whoever that person is, that venue is going to be much larger, much more adept to the setting that it should be for your students at prom night. So as we kind of end here, you know, this is what it looks like after prom night when everything's cleaned. But we've been really excited to kind of share our initial ideas and concepts with you. I hope you're excited as well. If anyone has a phone on them, if you want to jump in and take a look at the lobby, you can scan that code. That should get you inside the lobby. You can kind of move around, and I know we handed out some handouts there as well for some of the videos that we included. And again, on behalf of myself and our team, really want to thank you guys for your attention tonight, and best of luck with this really tremendous and exciting project.